I'm Madeline Harvey. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and welcome to day 6 of our free Your Authentic Voice challenge. So our objective for today's video is to talk about authenticity versus style. How do we go from one to the other? And are they the same thing? So if you like today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up or click that subscribe button below. I would love to see you here more often. So the question of authenticity versus style, do they need to be in contrast to each other? And the answer is no, absolutely not. But you must make sure that your voice is balanced. And I would use like the word balanced as a synonym for authenticity. If your voice is completely balanced and it's sitting in your body, in your voice, it feels really good to you, that's a sure sign that it's pretty authentic. But you've got to make sure that it's balanced first. So we're going to really quickly go over 4 things that we just have to use as a checklist to make sure our voice is balanced. Number 1 is relaxation. So if you're moving through a song and you are working your song, I would suggest that you start with a very neutral place, like huh. Because you see how it's blah, it's bland. I'm just sitting there with it. So if I go like, right? I'm sitting there with it. I'm not trying to make anything happen. I'm not trying to over-exaggerate anything. I'm just resting that melody line in my voice. Now, you want to make sure that you relax moment to moment, because oftentimes it's not the high note that gets us. It's not the low note that gets us. It's the note maybe right before the high note, or like the note in the middle that gets us. It's as if the voice trips and it kind of is going to manifest on the high note, but it will trip on one of those intermediary notes. So relaxation. Can you relax completely moment to moment to moment? Number 2 is airflow. Now you can probably trace, if you've got vocal issues, you can probably trace everything down to airflow, right? Because if it's too much, the voice tenses. If it's too little, the voice tenses. So we've got to make sure that our airflow is nice and even. So same thing. But now you're going to shift your attention from, am I relaxed physically? Can I feel any tension physically manifesting anywhere? To, can I feel the flow of my breath? So same thing. So now we can sort of hear what's called appoggio, the singing on the breath, where the breath like presses into the space in front. It doesn't, it's like, because I'm drawing my attention to the flow of my breath. Number 3 is resonating spaces. I want to emphasize that when you're dealing with balance and resonating spaces, you're not placing your voice. You're not putting it anywhere. You're using that ha to, again, shift your awareness to a place of observe, but don't control. So if I'm using the shallow line again, it's just I'm noticing where that air is taking the voice in my resonators. So I'm noticing the bridge of my nose is vibrating quite a lot. So I'm drawing my attention there to keep balance. I'm not going to try to take a note that now has told me it belongs here and tell it that it belongs there. See what that does? It cuts it off, and now I'm in imbalance. So number 4 is vocal cord tension or vocal cord strength. Now this, I thought that I might not even mention this, but it's worth a mention. You want to make sure first and foremost, just like our other relaxation, airflow, and resonance, that we're using neutral, being very neutral. We're not modifying anything just yet. We want the voice to be in complete balance. So what we're looking for with vocal cord strength or tension is a clear tone. We don't want, the chords are not connected all the way, so I hear the breath. It sounds fuzzy. But I don't want, either. It's way too clenched. It sounds tight. We're looking for a clear tone. So if you want a little bit of help, you can do huh, or you could do ga. Ga. Right? Now, as you're doing ga through your melody, you may notice, but that's okay. You want to sit with those moments to reestablish balance. So make sure that all 4 of these things are present before you start to add style. Okay? Pinky promise? Your voice has to be balanced before you start to meddle with it, which is what style is. So really quickly, I'm going to give you just a few elements of vocal style. The first one is probably the biggest deal, and that is articulation. Do not overestimate what articulation can do. Some artists use articulation to develop their entire sound, their artistic sound. So I'll give you Shallow in this slightly exaggerated articulation, which is what Gaga does. She's not just relaxed conversational, she's kind of exaggerated. She's taking her normal speaking voice and exaggerating it. So if I go, I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in, I'll never meet the crown, right? It's way more exaggerated than just a normal, I'm off the deep end, right? Like the conversation would be strange if I did it normal articulation. So there's a slight exaggeration. For you, I would play with exaggerating your articulation in degrees. So like small degree. So I'm going to shift to a different song real fast. I'm going to shift to Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Because Judy Garland gives us this really relaxed, have yourself a merry little Christmas. Right? Very slight, very delicate articulation because she's wanting more of that flow of her breath. Keep in mind that the more you meddle with your articulation, the easier it's going to knock you off of balance with your voice or with your balance. So your voice has to be pretty balanced before you can even start to bring articulation in. If I do that Judy Garland example one more time. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Now I'm not mimicking Judy Garland. It's just very slight articulation. If I give it a little bit more, have yourself a merry little Christmas. It's helping to accentuate certain tonal colors because that slight movement is now preferring that the resonance go more here or there, depending on the shapes that I'm making. If I amplify it a little bit more, have yourself a merry little Christmas. Suddenly turned into Broadway, didn't it? Yeah. So you can over-exaggerate, and the more over-exaggerated it is, the more dramatic it will be. Thank you, Gaga. So the more dramatic it will be. If it's under-exaggerated, it'll be more casual, more sensual, things like that. So play with your articulation. Another aspect of tone is your back space. Now we've got a whole host of articulators. I know I mentioned articulation, and that's just how we shape and maneuver the words themselves. But we can also meddle with specific things. So when we're talking about the back space, we're meddling with the back of the tongue and the back of the throat. So there's where we get our vowel sounds. If we have a long vocal tract, that's going to give you more of a warm or a classical sounding sound. So just for fun. I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in. Right? It's going to give you more of a classical sound. So if I take it more broad, it's going to give me more of a twang. I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in. Now, those are exaggerated, right? Exaggerated. But you can play with the subtlety of it. Notice that when you're listening to some of your favorite artists, notice kind of what they're doing with that back of their throat. Like, is there a nice warm present, or is there like a ah? If I'm doing like From this moment, life has begun. From this moment. It's like I'm doing very, very, very subtle shaping on the back. But if I don't do that, from this moment, life has begun. It's too conversational, right? It's too conversational, and it lacks that warmth and the romance of it. So see if you can listen to some of your favorite artists, just kind of see what they are doing. Another aspect of tone is tongue position. What we're doing with our tongue. You don't want the tongue to fly back. That's scary. Scary looking. The tongue like disappears. But you want to keep the tip of the tongue married to the back of the bottom teeth. You will notice that when you sing, especially if you're singing like a higher song with a lot of energy. So if I'm doing like, I don't care what they're going to say. The tongue position helps to focus the energy, focus the air up so that it's not getting caught in my throat. But if I'm doing something that's a little bit more classical, so there's different tongue positions. You will find, especially if you're working with articulation, you will find that your tongue is sort of acting as an articulator and helping to shape what you want that to sound like. But for the most part, you want to keep your tongue touching the back of the bottom teeth and the very back of the tongue, depending on your vowel, and a sort of taco shape. Because that's letting you know that the throat is open and it's stabilized because the back of that tongue is nice and depressed, pressing down gently. So there's just a couple of aspects of style that you can use. There are lots and lots and lots. Matter of fact, I just ended a live where I talk about so much more related to style. So if you want to watch that live, click on the join button below and become a member of this channel. As a member, you'll have total access, exclusive access to our members only area with about 100 hours worth of voice lessons. And you'll also be able to join us live every Monday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, if that's too late for you or way too early, fear not. As a member, you'll have exclusive access to that members only area with all those videos. So again, click the join button below. It's only $4.99 a month. And your contribution helps to support our channel. That way we can continue to deliver awesome content for you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you next time. Bye.